Good afternoon, everybody. How you doing? Let's talk about Noita for a moment. My name's McQueeb. I've been playing Noita since early access. It's a game that immediately caught my eye. In fact, when it was announced, I was desperate to get my hands on it just because of the GIFs that came out. I guess the preview of how the game works and how the game looks. It was gorgeous. It's a pixel art, magical action roguelike where every pixel is simulated. At least that's what it says on the box, but it's much more than that. You've got chemical interactions, you've got explosions, you've got mutations, you've got transformations, you've got wand crafting, incredible spells, and endless possibilities regarding that. It's one of those games that when you see it, you don't quite know what's going on, but it looks amazing. I immediately fell in love. I wanted to get my hands on the game as quickly as possible. I believe Nola Games at the time reached out to me and offered me a key to the game. It was an early access release, and it's been early access, or at least it was in early access for a long, long time. And it's just a wonderful experience, and it's immensely hard. It's a very, very difficult game, which is part of the appeal to me. I love that sort of try, die, repeat gameplay loop where you still don't know how to get better at the game, but you do. You give enough time to it and you learn a lot of the mechanics and a lot of what's going on in the game, and you'll start to get it, right? Like something clicks eventually. I had my first win after about probably 150 runs. Nowadays, that's, I have people telling me that they got their first win after 20 runs, which is just blows my mind. I did a self-imposed challenge. I wanted to be the first person in the world to beat the game without taking any damage, or technically without even getting hit. Also known as a hitless run, and that's greatly inspired by Souls runners like the Happy Hob, Squilla Killer, or people like Dark Viper AU who play a no-hit challenge in Grand Theft Auto 5. Many attempts later, and we're talking probably over 100 attempts later, I managed to do it. It was sometime around 18 months ago, and word quickly spread. I became known for Noita. I was at the time the Noita guy. I don't, propose to know any more. And I'm certainly not a better player than others, but for some reason, YouTube picked me up, maybe because I had an established channel at the time, and the content that I was producing, I don't know, maybe it just struck a chord with people, but it was picked up, and the algorithm loved it. My watch time was high, so that's kind of a self-perpetuating cycle. Even Nola Games was so impressed with my ability to beat the game without taking a hit of damage that they reached out to me and asked me permission to include my channel logo at the time, the McQueeb beard, in the game. So they wanted to, essentially borrow that. And at the time, it was a reward. If you finished the game without taking damage, you were awarded the Noita McQueeb no-hit beard in the final room after you beat the, let's call it the main boss. No spoilers. I was honored, and I immediately said yes, and that's the first time that's ever happened to me, anything like that at least. And as far as I'm aware, it's the first time that Nola did that in the game. Since the game's 1.0 release, that's been changed a little bit. It's now a tree achievement, a tree achievement. If you know, you know, kind of thing. And it's I don't know. There it is. McQueeb is now part of Noita history. There's many other content creators now also included in that. There's a shrine to someone that managed to do a many orb win, which is an extremely difficult challenge. You know, there's a few others there as well. I invested probably around 1200, 1300 hours into the game, and I stopped playing. There's just far too many games, in my opinion, to stick to one. So I started to introduce other games more and more, and started to play Noita less and less. It wasn't immediately noticeable to people that were familiar with my Twitch streams. But slowly but surely we started to phase out of Noita, and I introduced other games. I'm currently heavily invested into the Binding of Isaac, as well as a couple of new releases, and there's new ones coming as well that I'm really excited about. I was burnt out after quote unquote only 1300 hours. That was enough for me. I'd achieved absolutely everything that I wanted to in the game. But YouTube still considers me one of, if not the, Noita guy. Okay? If you Google search Noita, I still come up on the first page. And that's fine. It's great for, you know, my YouTube statistics and all of that. I don't earn a huge amount of money from YouTube, but every little bit counts, right? I was playing Rain World, a game that I hadn't played before that had been heavily suggested to me. It's an indie game. It's a Metroidvania platformer that is absolutely gorgeous, exceedingly difficult. So it definitely checks a few of the boxes that I would consider to be something that I'd be interested in. So I was checking it out. This is many months later. One of the lead devs of Noita happened to be browsing my channel on Twitch, and he made a little bit of a joke. He said that I'm still contractually obligated to create 10,000 hours of content for Noita. And I think he understood my plight with the game. But he made a little bit of a joke, and that stuck with me. Not only because it was coming from someone that I'd developed a relationship with, but it was something that I get from a lot of people as well. Almost every day, even to this day, somebody will come in while I'm live, or maybe a comment on YouTube saying, when will I release more Noita content? Am I still playing Noita? Don't get me wrong, I love the game. I adore the game. It technically put me on the map, right? It took me from, I guess at the time, maybe 30, 40 viewers on Twitch to a couple of hundred. And I'm very thankful to the game, and for the longest time that game gave me an immense amount of pleasure. It was just fun to play. I did consider myself very good at the game. Not one of the best by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, when anyone asked me about wand building or, you know, some of the spell mechanics, stuff like that, I would often recommend other people like Alias or Nymph's Pyre But still, to this day, the questions keep coming, the comments keep coming. And I don't exactly know how to respond to that question. It's one of those things where I don't hate the game. I don't, you know, dislike it at all. I mean, I have some criticisms, which we can talk about a little bit, but it's not something that would stop me playing the game. But at the same time, like, I have to take the content that I make and the enjoyment that I get out of it, including the mental health factor, into consideration whenever I'm choosing a game to play. And it was hard to say goodbye to Noita. It's still installed on my computer. Who knows? I might fire it up for a surprise stream or whatever one day. But no, I think I'm done with the game. And, you know, I get a few negative comments about that because, you know, people expect that content from me. And to that, I say, just go easy on people, especially content creators. Like, I wanna make content, and I wanna make content people enjoy, but I need to enjoy it myself first. If that isn't happening, then I won't be making content for people for very long at all. So let's talk about my criticisms with the game. Again, this doesn't lead at all to hatred, but I don't doubt that it had something to do with my burnout with the game. There's an unbelievable amount to do in Noita. This was true in early access. This was true in 1.0. And this is especially true now. The number of updates that kept coming out for the game is astronomical. Now, on one hand, you could look at this and say, that's amazing. The dev team, you know, cares about the community. They want to provide as much game as possible, enough longevity to keep people going and going, and hopefully stay with the game. It tapped into a side of me that I'm not exactly proud of, but it's something that's very important. I get anxiety in a lot of video games. I get anxiety through having too much to do, too much micromanagement in strategy games, having a timer looming over my head in games. I always bring up Dead Rising as the perfect example for that. And every new update that came out, the number of changes that happened to things that I thought I knew, which is fine. Again, when you're tweaking a game and balancing a game, which must be an immensely challenging prospect, these things have to be done. But from a content creator's point of view, I can only stretch my brain so far. So you're having a lot of things change. In addition to that, though, you're having tons of stuff added to the game. And I am not talking by a small factor. Every single update that came out after 1.0 was huge. I don't know how the dev team even began to start a task like that. They must have a backlog a mile long. Now, I want to see the game do well, but it was too much. When the game hit 1.0, it was awesome. It was perfect. Almost a week or two later, they added like a couple new bosses. And then it was new biomes. Like, the amount of stuff they added. I'm not kidding. I'm not being hyperbolic. It's unreal. The game in its current state, when I watch someone like Alias or Dunkerslam play, it's like I'm looking at a game that I don't even recognize anymore. Like, the fundamentals are there, but then they're doing things that I just haven't seen before. So that definitely taps into my anxiety. In my opinion, and this might be contentious, I don't exactly know, they could have taken 3/4 of the changes they made, the additions at the very least, and dumped that into a DLC. Charge a couple of bucks, charge $5. The amount of content warranted that price tag, in my opinion. And it could have made Nola, I have no idea of their financials, but I hope they're millionaires based on the game. I really do. That's how I could have seen that happening. But instead, they released it as constant updates, and it just became a little bit too much for me. So that's like my only criticism for the game. I love it. I adore the game. It is amazing, and I owe it a lot. But I think I'm done with it. Like I said, I've reached the point where I've gotten everything I can out of the game. I have no desire to do the new meta, which is 34 orb challenges. I have no desire to do, you know, kill all boss runs. That's just not for me. That's not. So I hope you understand, at the very least, why I'm no longer playing the game, and can appreciate that, you know, a content creator's life is complicated, to say the least. And I have enough on my plate. I still haven't found the next big game, other than The Binding of Isaac, but we're talking about a game that's now 7 years old in Rebirth. The Repentance update has added at least twice the content that Afterbirth had, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. I am down to the last couple of tainted characters, and my life sucks a little bit right now. It is extremely difficult, but I'm loving it. In saying that, I still haven't found the next big game that's going to be consuming my time. So for the moment, I'm an indie variety streamer, I suppose. I like roguelikes. I like you know, Souls-like style games, that kind of thing. I want to thank you for the support, for the feedback, all of the comments, for hanging out in my streams. I might not be able to provide Noita content, but hopefully I can still be that person that you listen to, maybe fall asleep to, relax to after a hard day's work. That's the vibe of my channel. Always has been. I've been extremely proud of how we run the channel and the community that we've built up. And I hope this doesn't dissuade you from paying a visit every once in a while as well. If I can, I would like to point out a few of my colleagues. AliasBot produces amazing content, is world record holder in many categories on speedrun.com to do with Noita, extremely knowledgeable, and his YouTube content has been blowing up lately, and I'm really, really proud of him for that. Dunker Slam, probably the most seasoned player, definitely the holder of the most hours played with Noita. He hit his 1000th win fairly recently, and he's a good guy. There's Let's Suffer Together, another really great content creator. Streams almost daily, produces YouTube video content almost daily. Brilliant guy, just a nice guy. It's a really great community. It really is, and I am honored to have been a part of it. And I don't regret a single moment. That's it from me. Take care. I'll see you in the next video, and have a great day.
Please hold. You fucking did it! Holy shit!